Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Real Women Unplugged. We're excited to be able to be with you again. We're excited to bring more content, just hearing from the Lord. And of course, always real life, always real conversations, all faith based, right? And today we're talking about self sabotaging. Like, are you sabotaging yourself and what can you do differently? And this particular topic, as I prayed about it, the Lord said, run with it. It's critical for my women to hear for this season. And so I hope you'll stay for the entire episode. We're going to get started. Guys, what did I say? Are you sabotaging yourself? What do you need to do differently? Okay. What came to mind was to ask you, if you don't mind, to kind of just talk us through what it means to self sabotage. As a life coach, a master life coach, what's your perspective on that? And then we will get to the rest of it afterwards.
All right, put me on the spot, Trisha. Yeah, man, just do that. Yeah, just like that. What does it mean to self sabotage? All right, so you're working on something, right? You want to change something about your life, like you've been complaining about this particular thing that you want to change, but you're continuing to do that, whatever habits that you've had over the years consistently and expect change. Right? So I feel fat. I'm just going to use the fat conversation. I want to lose weight. And I came into 2023 that, listen, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. But you see, when 10 o'clock tonight, like a fried chicken down in the fridge, I just kind of feel peckish, I kind of feel peckish. And you go for the fried chicken. Yeah, but you eat it. And the next day, you say, I'm going to have some discipline here. I'm hungry, but I'm not going to have anything. But the next day, you have a piece of cheesecake in the fridge. And you're like, all right, I'm not going to eat all of the cheesecake. It's not that bad. If I eat a little piece, it's not that bad. I'm just going to eat a little piece of the cheesecake. And you're going to get the cheesecake, right? You want to lose 20 pounds. Listen. So you go put your clothes on. Yeah. And it can't fit. Like the waistcoat. And everything you feel fat. Because you put on the weight. And you're like, but what's going on? Like, you've been eating fried chicken 10 o'clock at night. You eat the cheesecake, you eat the greater cake. You don't miss anything sweet. You just eat. But you want to lose 20 pounds. No, that is self-sabotage. If that kind of self-sabotage, I don't know what that is. So you want to change a habit, you got to do something different. Maybe not drastically, because you can't change a habit drastically. You want to take it bit by bit. So you want to say, all right, if I do, I'm going to try cut eating at 9. Don't bother go drastic now and say, I'm going to try change by 6 o'clock, I don't eat because you're just dead for hungry. And then the next day, you eat a whole heap of food because you never had it. Don't do that. Just gradually say, I'm going to cut at 9, and you do that for like 7 days, and then you cut. But you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. That sounds like a person that's not, like everything not working. Yeah.
Sim, I mean, you're hilarious, but it's real, right? It's so true. And please, I see Karine saying, why are you talking our business? Like it's she won. I'm supposed to be losing weight too, and
Same. I'm here in the chat writing how I feel attacked. As like I want to make Sim mega chat out my business, and I literally said 6 o'clock. That was my initial thing. My initial thing. I was like, yo, by 6 o'clock, I'm not eating nothing else. But then I realized a more realistic one for me was like 7:30.
Good job.
7:30. But everything else you said, me. So thanks. Thanks for that. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Karine. Jeez.
But we laugh about it, but it's not a good thing. From not I mean from the perspective that if we want to change things in our lives, we have to do things differently. And we have to be committed to doing things differently. I mean, that's the truth, right? But we can laugh at ourselves, of course. But the truth is, if we want to do different things differently, and just listening to you, it is harmful, bad, negative behaviors, attitudes, values, and so on that get us to that place where, we're in a rut, however we want to define rut, and we want to do things differently. Well, now that I say it, I wonder sometimes too if we do want to do things differently. But I mean, that's a part of the conversation because sometimes we don't even identify the fact, we don't, sorry, recognize the fact that we need to change something. But the reality is we sabotage because, like you said, we're not trying to do things differently. We don't have a plan that is a reasonable plan, like, gradually going into things. And the verse that's coming to my mind now is, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And that verse has been with me for some time now. I mean, I know it, I get it, but there's an unpacking that's happening because the truth is, it doesn't say we perish because we have knowledge but don't use it, or we have knowledge but use it incorrectly. It starts from a place of we don't even have the knowledge. So it's our responsibility to get the knowledge. Anybody else? I mean, thank you, Sim. That was great. It had us cracking up.
And just listening to Sim a while ago, when saying it like that and laying it out as plainly as that, what I heard was the motivations that were put before us that leads us to the decisions. So if you notice him, every time you said, "Why, but I feel kind of peckish," so you held on to that motivation, so you went for the fried chicken. All right, I'll just do half because you wanted something sweet, so you went for that. And then it's not until afterwards you catch yourself and say, "But I'm gonna lose 20 pounds," So I think a part of the strategy has to be to keep the goal before you at all times. So stick it up on the fridge. I want to lose 20 pounds. Don't open that door. I want to lose 20 pounds. So it's the planning, as you were saying, Trish, because we have these habits, we have these patterns that we've been living with forever. And until we become so deliberate that we almost have to set up ourselves, because we know the weaknesses and the tendencies are there. So we have to put every measure in place in order to work against those things that are our natural inclinations. Because the truth is, we're trying to undo something that we've been doing for years. And so I just feel like we have to be honest enough with ourselves to set the right goals, the achievable goals, the realistic ones, be willing to reassess if necessary without feeling like a failure either, because you're working on it, you're going on a journey to achieve whatever it is that you're setting out to accomplish. And keep the goal before you, because the tendency will be to revert to what you've been doing before.
I thanks, Cars. As I'm listening to you, Cara, did you have something you wanted to say? Okay. As I'm listening to you, Cars, the thing about having the goal before you, but what keeps coming back to me, and it's something that I said before was, but what if the person doesn't have a goal before them? Like, what if the person isn't even seeing life through the lens of, hey, there's something I need to do differently? Um, when I think about even my past, the guys that I chose to date, you know, I'm not saying all of them were bad men. That's not what I'm saying. Actually, a lot of them were, the majority of those that I dated were actually really good guys, you know. But for those that were not, it was a choice I made, and I chose to choose. If you get what I'm saying, I chose to make that decision, you know. And now that I'm in the kingdom, it is different because I have on very clear eyes. There are no, what's that verse that talks about scale over your eyes? Ain't no scales there, you know. But of course, I mean, the reality is, it may not be like that for everything just because I'm a Christian. You know, I may still be making bad decisions and so on. How do we then recognize that there's just some things? I mean, I imagine that there may be a long list of things that we could talk about, but just like, what are some of the things that, you know, if I'm somebody that's not recognizing that, hey, there's an issue, how do I identify what are some of the signs that that there's a challenge and I'm sabotaging myself?
First of all, you're not happy. You're unfulfilled. You know, you're scrolling through social media, looking at everybody else's life and wishing that you had that life. You know, and so everything else outside of you looks better than what you have. And that's an indicator that you're stuck. You know, self-sabotaging comes with that atmosphere of just not growing at all in any area, you know, forward, backward, you're just in one space. Every day you get up, you are having the same emotional turmoil that we sometimes attach words to, and we call it depression. But really and truly, if you really dig deep in this whole depression thing, which is one of the things I want to like go really deep in, where Christians said I'm depressed, is really about these self-deceptive thoughts that we're having that is sabotaging the growth process that we want to see in our lives. So if you're not growing, and if you see yourself in a position where you want to get to another place, but you just feel like this app is just not moving, you know, what's going on in your brain? How are you thinking? Cara said something so vital. You never get down on yourself. You never get down on yourself, because if you do that, you are going to replace what you could do to change the narratives of where you want to go. So what you're going to do is stay in this place of self-pity. Oh my God, I'm so fat. Why am I so fat? Why is this not closing? Oh my God. And you just stay there the whole time trying to close the dress, but you're put on the dress and it's not going over the hips. But you're really just in this place of self-pity. But no, I'm here. I don't want to be here. Why am I here? Okay, you come face to face with the reality of the truth of why you're in a space. No, you can't change unless you accept where you are. A lot of us want to change, but we don't want the work. It doesn't work like that. We don't want the challenge. We don't want the pain that comes along with change. And change involves pain, because it means that I have to go against what I have been over a couple of years. This place where I've gotten settled and comfortable, and we just like a little space here. And if we try taking another risk, or we try to put over this comfort zone, then I don't know what's gonna happen. But change involves taking that initiation of doing something different that you've done over the years that's going to go against the grain of who you have been. Taking consideration that we're all on this journey, right? I don't want to cover the conversation that I love talk, but take in consideration that we're all on this journey to get into the better version of selves, yes? But while you're on that journey, you're going to come upon a lot of pit stops, a lot of things that are going to be in your way. That's not the true you, because we've got a facade of ourselves. We have not come into the truth of who we are. I have thoughts and you have thoughts that does not depict who you are supposed to be based on the identity that God has given us through the blood of Jesus Christ. So you can't get to the place that you can't see, right? You have to be able to visualize this place that you want to go. And then you have to go there based on what the word of God says and not anything else. But what we do, we take our validation from everything else, which is external, which what I'm now looking at is a generation of curses coming from, even from the slavery days. That's what I'm recognizing, because when you start to do this whole self-discovery journey, and you recognize your thought process and where they're coming from, most times they're coming from when you were 9 years old or 5 years old, or when you have one bad boyfriend and he beat you up, or when somebody did give you a bone or something. You're not living in the now, and so you carry all of that in. I'm saying all of this to say all of that process sabotage where you want to go. All of that irks and that thing, that all of that mess and dirt, because there's nothing authentic about it, because it's not the truth, because you pull your truth from everything that has been external for the last how much years that you've been on the earth. So until you come face to face with being honest with where you are, you want to find out if you're self-sabotaging, you're not growing, you're at one place, you're not moving, this is where you're there for how long. You have to now check your thought process. You have to now look at what you are engaged in, and you have to now create new way of thinking to override all of that. It's a journey, however. It's not abracadabra. You don't do this and it don't just happen.
Go up here.
No, I was just, I've been listening and trying to think, even in terms of, even in my own life, the areas where I might self-sabotage sometimes. And sometimes for me, I know it's a case of not, like you said, not having a clear sense of what the goal is. You know what I mean? And because I don't know what the goal is, because it's not clear, because I don't have that clear vision, then I do stuff that work against what I want, but I don't even know that that's what I really want. And so, it's just not happening. And then it leaves you in this place of, like you said, just feeling unfulfilled. But I do know that one of the other areas where people tend to be self-sabotaging themselves is just because we're not disciplined. You know what I mean? We are just not disciplined, or we're lazy. That's the truth. We're indisciplined and we're lazy, and we don't want to acknowledge that's what it is. And one way to help that is really just having a support system. For me, like, I know that, at the end of the day, me probably I got mess up in this area because I personally haven't developed the discipline to accomplish this. And so I need to have some people around me who will harm me up when it's that time. Let's use the example that you used, same about even with the food, that I know that, I might get a call, care, have you done this today, or have you done that, or remember this, or just to help me along my journey. Because the truth is, there are times when we do know that we're self-sabotaging. We know that this is our area of weakness, but we don't have the discipline to follow through it. And so we have to recognize that in this journey of life, you're not meant to do it by yourself. It's not something you're meant to do on your own. And in so many episodes, even last season, we talked about just having that community and having that support. And relationship is so important to God. And He has us in community for a reason. And something as simple as trying to lose a few pounds, just because it's out there, it becomes a lot easier when you have people who you can be accountable to and who will help you through it. So indiscipline and laziness, and having people to help you get past that is something that we can do differently.
Yeah. And I certainly can relate to that, care. And what I have found is that you have to have friends that understand you and they know how to handle those weaknesses. For instance, I have a girlfriend who she ended up doing some slim fasting, right? And then because she know I want to lose weight, once she discover say it tastes good and it really don't cost that much and stuff, she hit me up right away. Hey, Cars, I have I have this thing, you need to try it, Cars. Trust me, nice kind of thing. And so I'm saying, and they don't have to do it in a way where they call you out, although sometimes you properly need a battle, and you have to be humble enough to receive it. Because think about it, you're struggling. God has blessed you with these girlfriends or these friends that can come alongside you. And then you're going to make pride get in the way of preventing you from actually accelerating. You're working against yourself on a whole other level, you know. And so let's embrace the help that the Lord has sent, and make your girlfriend them know, make the people around you know, and say, listen, you know, some love the KFC, right? And you know I'm going to want to buy it. Worse, I'm going to live near there now. Can you please remind me? Can you please remind me not to pick those nachos up, not to pick up that cheese, and not to do that? All right, just check in with me and make sure some I behave myself, kind of thing. But in relation to what you said to Sim, I wrote when I was preparing for the chat, I wrote the word misinformation. The things that we pull from our experiences, from our past, and it begins to inform who we are, what our value systems are. When I was doing some reading, I saw something as simple as coming from our past, where maybe if we, and I'm not discouraging what our family processes may be, because I certainly have lived my life of hand me downs. My boys, I have two boys. The second one is certainly wearing the older one's clothes. So we're not knocking that, but it is how we translate the information of our lives that causes us to not be able to have the right perspective. So Sim, I love you saying that what we have to do is we have to change the narrative, because hand-me-downs, because of what you may see others have, all of a sudden you feel like hand-me-downs are dictating your worth, that you are not able to have this or that, because, and so as a result I am not worth it. And so when we begin to embrace that type of thinking, all of a sudden we can embrace the things that God has called us into. God calls us into robes of righteousness, but I wore hand-me-downs. How does that add up, you know? And so we have this process of misinformation that causes us not to come into what it is that the Lord says we have, what the Lord says we are, and what the Lord wants to bring us into. And so I think one of the conflicts that we'll realize that we have is that we don't align with what God has said about us. And we are constantly facing that struggle. And it is a reality, because even in Romans 7, verse 15, it says, for what I am doing, I do not understand. For what I will to do, that I do not practice. But I hate what I do. So it's this constant tossing of, you know what you want to do, you know what you think you should be thinking, but that's the very thing that you are not doing. And trust me, it is a daily battle in different areas of your life. You will face it. And so Galatians 5:16 to 18 speaks about some of those battles as well. And so I just really feel like until we first and foremost can understand who we are, and we are willing to accept that as truth, the other things can't inform in greater measure than what he has said. And it's not easy for change the mindset to begin to accept that and walk in it. It has to be deliberate. It has to be deliberate. And it's easy to not hit the mark on it every day, but we just have to keep at it, you know?